Hello, everybody, and welcome to DG360 here. Our friend Dead Leader, friend of the channel, going to tell us the best ships for the newest patch of Star Citizen 3.23. Let's check it out.
Recently, CIG announced that some core features for the 3.23 update needed extra time to be ready for release, with cargo holding missions, distribution centers, item banks, personal hangars, and freight elevators containing so many core changes to Star Citizen that we're going to be seeing many legacy features and ships getting a drastic overhaul to how they function entirely, changing the relationship with our inventory and the ships we currently have in the game. Since soon gone are the days of local and ship inventories and onwards to a more physicalized inventory system, with every item, if not being in your personal inventory, needing to be stored in a cargo crate or on physicalized racks on ships. So to get you prepared, here's my list for the best ships to help you get the most out of the 3.23.x update. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to Toby Eye Tracker 5 for sponsoring this video. Toby is a head and eye tracker that works closely with CIG to be natively compatible with the 3 patch. Best advantage with the new master mode system. Toby Eye Tracker 5 gives stupid bulky thing over. The Toby will always monitor, run the install 3.23 to win a Toby C Hornet Mark II. To enter, check out that lasts. Now, back to the video. So having played a lot on the EPTU this patch and taking into account of a lot of the ship changes that have happened over the past year, this list is going to be a little different than usual, as I'm going to be giving you 2 options for each size category of ship. From starter ship, medium-sized ship, large, and finally heavy. So no matter if you're new to the game or a veteran, there should be something here for you, with a lot of these picks actually surprising even myself, as many of them personally I would have never touched, but seemingly have a distinct advantage in the 3.23.x update. So starting with the Nomad. So this is one I wouldn't have thought I would have been recommending. I never really took this one out very much. I always found I had other ships that did a better job, but the Nomad is actually great for a sort of starter ship with the new update, because you got, like, this is out of the light fighters. This is like, well, not light fighters, starter ships. It's got 24 SCU. It's got a tractor beam, a really easy access onto its sort of back here to load cargo onto from a freight elevator. And on the inside though, that's where this sort of turns around a little bit, because most other ships will have, you know, internal gun racks or some sort of storage or something that you can use, but this one doesn't. And so it means if you don't have anything on you that you need at a time, say you're on here and you're, you know, you need a gun or a bit of armor or whatever that you've got in storage, there's no internal storage anywhere in here. The only storage will be on that cargo bed on the outside. So that means if you don't have, if you're not in atmosphere, or if you don't have like a helmet on, say you're in space and you need something at the back, you can't access it. Like as soon as you open this, you know, if you don't have a helmet and you're out in space, then you're kind of flat out of luck. But if you've, you know, just gonna have a starter ship, you want to be able to move cargo,
space El Camino,
then the Nomad will be good for you. But yeah, just make sure if you're taking this one out that you've got at least a full armor set on, if in case you got something you might need in the back. Yeah, 24 SCUs for a starter ship is pretty decent. The Drake Cutter Rambler. And another ship that might seem like a bit of an odd pick for me to make is the Drake Cutter Rambler. This one I've sort of bad-mouthed in the past, just because when they released it, it was, you know, really marketed as, oh, it's got a bigger quantum fuel drive, but then, oh, a tank at least, quantum tank, but then it just didn't. So that was like the one thing that they could have done that they didn't do. But this is almost like the complete opposite reason to the Nomad of why I like it. Was where the Nomad, you've got that large amount of space, but it's all on the outside and it's not convenient. Drake Cutter Rambler only has 2 SCU of cargo space, but everything is accessible on the inside, including you got 2 regular gun racks here, some pistol racks, and a large weapon rack, which is very rare to say in some ships. also got at the front, right next to the bridge, you got another large one, so 2 large ones, which is unheard of for a small starter ship. Another gun rack and 2 pistol racks, and you have, I believe it's this one, you got some personal storage here as well that you can use. So there is some sort of internal storage you can use to keep things. And so this is great for, say, if you're just sort of doing like gun running, or say you need to deliver some gear to a mission, or some friends that are out doing stuff, like you need to get some equipment out on site easily. This is the one for you, but you're not going to be, you know, hauling any cargo kind of around. But as far as like easily accessible, everything's really accessible, really easy to get to. And now that it does actually have the extended quantum fuel tank, it is quite a good little starter ship, I reckon. So in review, the Nomad doesn't have any physical weapon racks, where the Rambler is the opposite, with an alarming amount of weapon racks, including 2 of the rare large weapon racks to be able to gun run railguns with. For cargo capacity, the Nomad as a starter ship, I will give an A, with its 24 SCU capacity, but for personal storage, I give it an F, since it doesn't have any. Whereas the Cutter Rambler, I'd have to give its cargo capacity an F, with its measly 2 SCU of storage, but I'd give the personal storage a C, since it does actually have some, unlike the Nomad. For ease of loading, I give the Nomad an A+, since it's got a really effective tractor beam and its external cargo tray is in clear sight of the freight elevators, where the Rambler I'd give a B+, since it's not as easy to access, but with only 2 SCU, you literally won't be ever loading more than 2 boxes of cargo at a time. For ease of use, the Nomad gets a C+, since you've got to do a bunch of entering and exiting just to access everything, which in the wrong circumstance could really get you in trouble. Where the Rambler, I give an A, since everything is right there, easy to get, and even has gun racks right on the bridge in case of an emergency. The Nomad, with its 9,800 hull HP and 3 size 1 shields, I'd rated survivability a C. Good shielding, but poor hull HP, whereas the Rambler's 17,100 hull HP and 1 size 1 shield, I'd rate its survivability a D+, since personally I prefer more shields over hull HP, since you can always just regenerate your shields, where if your hull is damaged, you've got to go get it repaired or repair it yourself if you've got the equipment for it. 2 very different starter ships with their own unique benefits, but ultimately the choice comes down to, do you value hauling cargo for cargo missions, or do you prefer the convenience of easily accessible gear? The Crusader C1 Spirit.
Yeah, this is kind of where I was going to gear towards. I was going to say probably this guy for bang for the buck wise money and being able to do just about all the tasks you're going to need. Not the best for some tasks, but it kind of is like the catch-all, you know, like the way the Cutlass Black used to be, and the Cutlass Black still. But like if you want to spend yourself, like what's this guy go for? Like 100 and I got to remember the price on this guy. I think it's around 125. I would say if you want to start the game and you want to put a little bit more money in, then I'd probably go this route. The Zeus Mark II, right? Yeah. I think the Freelancer Max still. I'm not a big Freelancer guy, but I think the Freelancer Max still, because the Freelancer Max like 150. So if your budget's up to like 150, I would probably say flyable right now. Because see the Zeus right now. I wouldn't. I'd say for the future the Zeus, but like right now I'm gonna say Freelancer Max, C1 Spirit, Cuddy Black, these types of ships. That's where I'm kind of gearing for like a catch-all.
Crusader C1 Spirit, which has a cargo capacity of 64 SCU, has a okay. Kind of way of getting cargo on. I guess it's like directly here. It's at the back of the ramp.
We gave the C1 away last month thanks to Stunner. Stunner's in here. Love Stunner.
Any other kind of entry points on the side? Like the
very happy gentleman. He talks to me all the time. Germ be good. He's always so happy. Tells me how much he loves it.
Carrying capacity than the Cutlass Black. as we come in here, this is the components and stuff. And then right here we have two suit lockers, and we've got one little gun rack here for just 2 guns. And I think we're supposed to be able to put pistols up here and medguns, but at the moment I can't seem to get one on there. But they're quite easy to access directly from the bridge. From the bridge you have right here. Well, it really is the bridge, to be honest. And then above the beds here, we've got these 2 little personal storage bays. They don't have too much storage.
I haven't
in
flown
here.
it personally, Eric, but Germ loves it, man. Germ's always DMing me about how much he loves the ship.
Too much stuff in here, but it's enough for each of the pilots to have a little bit of personal storage.
I saw somebody had landed and let the bay open.
We've also got tractor.
There was a dude who landed and let the bay open in New Babbage area because nobody ever loads their ships back up, man. Jesus, there's like a graveyard of ships laying out there. It's crazy. And I was like, well, let me check out what Germ Be Good won from us. And I went inside. I did. I like the interior. You know, most Crusader ships, though, it's kind of, you get lost in them.
The beam on the back also help some loading of things that are directly behind it. But if you're going to be summoning this directly in your bay, I'm not sure if you're really going to be able to, you know, directly use that to put cargo straight into the back of your C1. But when you say you're out in space or something, sure, that'll be
Stunner. Germ's always telling him how much he loves the ship that he won from you, buddy.
Some loot or something.
The Mercury door runner, right? Sketch, right, dude.
Here on the Drake Cutlass Black.
There's the Cuddy Black. That was my first ship.
Not only just from the back here, but we've also got these massive side swinging doors. So,
oh yeah, he's always telling me how much he loves it.
Elevator there. It's pretty straight and direct to be able to get it right over here on the cargo grid, and that's for either side. Then of course, it's also got a tractor beam at the back here, but it actually has pretty terrible placement of the
I think so, beam. Eric. I really do.
See, I'm sitting in the co-pilot seat here at the moment. We can get into the remote tractor beam turret here, and you see, you can't actually
go through so many changes, man.
into the ship's own cargo bay, and on top of that, the freight elevators will probably be behind here, so it's not going to be very good at being able to load and unload gear unless you've got, say, maybe a crew and they're just kind of like they're over, you know, to the side, just chucking things within your reach. But I mean, I guess even then you're not going to be able to hurl it in the ship. It's all because the tractor beam is slightly higher on the back than it really should be. It probably should be kind of lowered a little bit, but until then it really doesn't have the best tractor beam in the game, but it does have one, so yeah, that's something. And front, got a bunch of gun racks here, just sort of standard gun racks, and we have crew personal storage over in these lockers over here, so you can keep some storage directly on the ship itself outside of any crate. It's good to have. So in review, the medium ships, both the C1 and the Cutlass Black have physical weapon racks, with the Cutlass having 2 more than the C1. As far as cargo capacity goes, I'd give the C1 a B+, with its 64 SCU capacity, and the Cutlass Black a B, with its 46 SCU. Since while they're both a step up from the starter ship's capacity, they are both a far cry from something like a Freelancer Max's 122 SCU, which is in the same weight class, but I'm just not much of a fan of. For personal storage, the C1 I'd give a C+, with the Cutlass Black a B, since it does have a slightly larger capacity, which can be the difference between fitting a whole armor set in some instances. For ease of loading, I gave the C1 a B, since its wings do block a clear view of anything that's not placed directly behind it, and the Cutlass Black I give an A+. While its tractor beam is poorly placed, with its doors open in the back, you can pretty much load or unload from any direction with ease, making it very quick to get it ready to go at any time. For ease of use, both ships get an A, as they're both equally as easy to get in and out of, and access any gear you might have on board. For survivability, I give the C1 a B with its 67,600 hull HP and size 2 shield, and the Cutlass a C+ with its 37,242 hull HP and also size 2 shield. Very similar ships, but the difference comes down to a few things. Style being one of them, and the ability to get in and out quickly. I'd say C1 is more of a hauler, while the Cutlass is more of a brawler.
Yeah, I think if you're going to go after bounties more than you are going to haul, then I would choose the Cutlass over the Spirit. I think that's your deal breaker right there. If you want to haul more than you want to worry about bounties or getting into that type of play, then go with the Spirit. You know, that's where the deal breaker is for where you land right there.
The Drake Corsair. Corsair has a generous 72 SCU of cargo space here, and it's quite easily accessible to put stuff on from the freight elevator.
I like his recommendations on ships here.
It's pretty easily, and going further in, other than having cargo accessible there, we've also got a whole armory here dedicated with 2 large weapon slots, same as the Drake Cutter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 gun racks and 9 pistol racks up there, and a couple armor lockers or physical weapon racks. But one of the best sort of features about the Corsair for especially multi-crew people is that each has multiple crew quarters, and in the crew quarters they each have their own little armor locker, and down here they've got their own personal storage under the bed where they can all keep.
You're getting past 200 when you go this route, though.
So you're no need to put anything in a box. If you've got multiple people on your ship, they can all have their own sort of independent storage, and that's the same for each one. So that's
this is where I'd start to tell people, like, hey, now you're getting into like heavier purchases. You know, like the ships before were like, you know, anybody with a decent budget, like a moderately priced budget, going up to the 150 range. You're getting into the Corsair, now you're bumping up to like the 200. You're getting more serious about the game. So realize that, you know, there's still tons of bugs and glitches when you play this. You know, realize that before you spend $200, because to a lot of people out there, $200 is a lot of money. So just realize this as he's giving these suggestions out here.
3 crew there, and at the front as well, there's also a this is like the captain's quarters right on the bridge here that has those as well.
Yeah,
and
yes.
Not only is it easy just to get that gear on, you know, directly at the back
that's
ramp,
right,
you also have this little airlock here. So if you need to just get
it was a public service. I want to make sure everybody's aware of this, Orson. I'm enhancing. Of course, just not a reactor, an enhancer, dude.
In a previous
which
daily
make people
drivers
aware.
complained that it was easy to still kind of break. They have sort of fixed the thruster HP a bit, so it's harder to get those broken. But that being said, they still can break, and when they do break,
Corsair's a fun ship still, though.
It's, man, this thing can be wonky as hell, but
it
really
so wonky,
is a great ship to pull around if you're going to do some cargo and stuff, just because it's got
Corsair's
so much
fun for me.
It's got so much pilot damage that it can do. It's got, you know, a great bit of storage. It's got all the multi-crew stuff you need, and it's just
I would say that's a great bit of advice, Beam.
The Constellation Taurus.
Also, so people are aware of this when you're watching this, I don't know if Dead Leader actually said this, but you know, like he's a friend of the channel, love him. He probably said it and I didn't realize it, but make sure you understand that, like Speem says, he's got a really great suggestion for new players, which is spend a limited amount of funds for like a starter ship in the $45 to $70 range, okay? And then you can buy most of these ships in game with the creds in the game, which is a point that a lot of people don't realize. There's still people out there that don't realize you can buy most of these ships in game with the game credits by doing missions, and people still to this day do not get that, which is mind-blowing to me. And just goes to show you how Cloud Imperium really needs to do a better job at marketing that point. It's a huge point.
Now, the Constellation Taurus really is one of the king daddies in this patch for cargo hauling, because it has
like
this
fantastic
cargo bay here that drops straight down to the floor with a generous 174 SCU of cargo, and it's quite easy to be able to get cargo directly on here from the freight elevators, which would be
it's probably why they don't take the time to mention
really like this thing's down and easy to access at any point.
You spent money. We're so sorry.
It's one of the few ships that has a tractor beam that comes down directly down here from the bridge. You can get into a little seat and it'll drop you down.
Sketch. There's a lot of that.
You'll easily be able to see cargo either in the freight elevator or on the
playing
cargo
is a
bay
very
here. You'll be able to get it directly onto the cargo grid or take things directly off and into the freight elevator.
See, odd one. Good,
pretty much
good to
from
see you,
within
man.
the
Long
bridge
time no see,
itself.
buddy.
And
Come back soon,
out of all
man.
the ships in the game, it really does have the best placement for its tractor beam to cargo placement, where most other ships, it's actually quite hard to use it to get stuff directly onto the grid. Or on the Taurus, it was really made to be the perfect ship for that. Taurus is also one of the easiest ships to get in and out of, with the front little elevator here
nice,
leading pretty much directly into the cockpit. So it means getting in and out of this thing is a lot easier compared to some of the other ships where you have to kind of make it all the way through the length of the entire ship before you can even get, you know, into the cockpit seat or get to the back to get out of it. And not only that, but inside it also has, these are actually armor lockers. So that's a generous 5 armor lockers for the size of the ship. But the downside is that it only has 2 gun racks inside here. So there's really not much you can do on that account, but it does have such a large storage space back here that it does sort of make up for it. It's definitely the more cargo focused ship out of this and the Corsair, where the Corsair is clearly the more combat focused. Not only does the Taurus have a great way of loading cargo directly onto the grid there, but it also has these great number of airlocks as well, where with the new EVA, it's going to be much easier to be able to get on and, you know, off ships quite easily. And if you need to get just a little bit.
The Taurus is your basic starter constellation ship for those people wondering that are new to the game. I think it's around $200. It was one of the very first ships I looked at that I was super excited about. Still to this day, like looking at the Connie, it reminds me of when I first got into Star Citizen, loving the ship design of this. It's your base kind of hauler version of the Constellation ship. $200, so keep that in mind.
Bit of stuff from a freight elevator will be easy to access from here. There's also one.
I wish the Dead Leader would put prices. That would be good. Has he been doing prices? Have I missed
finally,
that?
There's one on the opposite side of the elevator to get on board here. So it's going to be quite easy to get on and off this thing.
That'll be a good day, Eric. That'll be a good day, bro.
So in review, the Corsair has probably one of the best armories and physical weapon racks in the game to date.
I'm going to get out of the way for these specs so you can check these out and play. But first, I wanted to read Speem's comment. He says, all this MMO stuff is not the original goal. SQ42 was all expected. And the Connie has good memories. Yeah. The one thing I will say about that, Speem, is that Squadron 42 was the initial idea, but I think I got into it, you know, I would like to see people vote on this actually, because I'm curious as to what got you into Star Citizen. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, in the comments below, I'd like to see what you have to say about this. For me, it was the MMO. For me, I wasn't too concerned about Squadron 42, although I'm not much of a solo game player, but when I do, I love these kind of like choose your own adventure, your decisions, tell the story, lots of replayability like Wing Commander. So I wasn't against it, but put a 1 if you got in for the Squadron 42 and put a 2 if you got in for the MMO. For me, I'm going to put 2. I think for most people, it was the MMO aspect of it. So that just kind of curious to see, a lot of 2s, a lot of MMOs. So thank you, Speem, for saying that, because I kind of just wanted to see where everybody landed on that. Every once in a while, I will take a poll to see why people got into Star. DY, old school DY here, man. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, he got in for the Squadron 42. DY, you've always been different, bro. I love you. Speem said 1. So we got a couple 1s. Limitless, said 1. Okay, so mostly 2s, a small spattering of 1s. So for the most part, most of us got into this for the MMO gameplay. Which, I have to say this. Since I voted 2 for the MMO, I'm going to applaud all of you that voted 2. Ones, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ones. I love you still. I love you. I mean, like, geez, I'm sorry. Now let me get out of the way here and let's compare the two. Corsair versus Taurus. Me personally, I just love the Corsair. So I would say Corsair on this one, but let's see what Deadly
Where the constellation Taurus potentially has one of the most lackluster. The Corsair's cargo capacity of 72 SCU gets a B, where the Taurus's 174 SCU gets an A+, as it's the largest cargo capacity out of all the ships without falling into the category of larger ships that are exclusively for cargo. So it's still capable of fighting and giving as good as it gets with a decent load on board. The Corsair gets an A+ for personal storage, with each crew quarters not only getting their own inventory storage, but a dedicated armor locker, where the Taurus gets an F since it doesn't contain any personal storage at all. For ease of loading, the Corsair gets a B+, where the Taurus gets an A+, with its cargo bay being fully lowerable and its excellent tracked beam placement making it perfect for all situations. For ease of use, the Corsair gets an A, with its side elevator making entering and disembarking much quicker than most, while the Taurus gets an A+, with its elevator bringing you almost perfectly into the bridge and cargo bay lowering fully to the ground, making loading or entering or exiting the ship a breeze. As far as survivability goes, the Corsair gets a B+, with its 91,000 hull HP and size 3 shield, while the Taurus gets an A, with its 137,000 hull HP and size 3 shield. Between the two, I'd say the Constellation Taurus is better suited for someone who's more interested in moving cargo as a solo pilot, as it allows you to easily get in and out with the most cargo in the quickest possible time. While the Corsair...
Also, I would say that this has to factor into a lot of the decisions that we're seeing here, and that's that Drake is the superior manufacturer. Just let's be clear here. Let's be clear.
Is more suited for players who fly in a crewed ship to be able to man the turrets and take advantage of the crew quarters. The Crusader C2 Hercules Starlifter. C2 Hercules Starlifter has the largest cargo capacity available currently in the game, other than the Hull D. But as soon as you open up, you've got the back gate and the front gate here, and then it'll be very easily to get any cargo you need from the freight elevators directly on. And if you've got multiple people loading it, you've got both front and the back ramp for them to be able to do it from at the same time, making it quite easy to get stuff on board. Upstairs of the C2, we also have a lot of these little storage unit bays all scattered around.
I don't think you can buy this on their page anymore. It was around 400 if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't it guys around 400?
And there's also a number of them here.
I think you can buy this one in game. 425.
There you go. Another one, storage unit.
I don't think it's available right now to buy on their store.
Store gear that can be accessed by people other than directly from a crate down on the cargo grid. Heading up closer to the bridge here, I think is the last little spot for storage.
Right in the 400 price range. I know it was
side here,
in the $400 range.
The bridge right there.
What is it in game right now for credits? Because I think they just bumped up all pricing. I haven't looked at the terminal for buying or renting
large
ships
rifles on that one. And at the top here, can take pistols, med guns, and the like. Then over here, it's just a mirror of the previous one. And all these are easily accessible.
What's up, Digit? How you doing, buddy? I see you in the comments on YouTube all the time, man. Gobbling up that Dungeons and Dragons,
escape
buddy.
Pods right here, which although suit lockers aren't online, it likely we will be seeing them sooner rather than later, since all this sort of stuff is becoming physicalized. But this is quite good for, say, if you're being boarded while you're running some cargo. If you need any gear, it's immediately kind of right here, other than having to run all the way through.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
And then making it to either your storage crates here, or down still in a box down on the cargo.
Join in tonight. You gonna watch some more tonight with us live?
M2 Hercules Starlifter. Now on the M2 Hercules Starlifter, while it might look like we have the exact same amount of cargo space, we do have the same amount of space. but there's not as much on the grid. In fact, this one has 468 SCU of cargo that can be loaded on, but it's just as easy to load it on as the C2, having people being able to move it from both sides of the ramp here and get it in. And upstairs, like the C2,
it's gonna be D&D
the M2
later.
also has these storage
Azure
units that can be
campaign
found
and,
all
Misfits.
here and over on the other side. And I think there's some up here too as well. And the one other difference between the M2 and the C2, other than the cargo size, is up here, where in the C2 we had two weapon racks on either side. Now we've just got escape pods in the M2.
A lot of people rocking C2s in the verse, man. I see a lot of C2s
at the moment. But in a trade-off for that,
he did really good on this video. Dead's very thorough, dude. I do wish he put prices, though.
Over where there was a like a dining hall, we've now got a little sort of a drop pod and an armory over here, a full armory. And so this is where we've got, these are the same gun racks as we would have had over there.
I like his background.
We've also got two for large weapons, such as railguns or missile launchers. So we've got 4 that can be kept here, and we've got more armor racks over here in total. And then also, this is one little spot people don't find, but there's also some extra storage up here as well. It's more personal storage where crew can keep their more kind of kit. So
I actually see quite a lot
kind
of
of torn
C2s
between
out
the
there.
M2 and the C2, to be honest, because the usefulness of like the gun racks being near where the bridge is, for me, as someone who doesn't usually play with a whole lot of people, it's far more convenient to be able to go and get stuff like just as directly behind me. Or say if I'm being boarded, I can take a little bit extra time to kind of get the ship to safety and then run back and maybe get whatever I need and have those guns close by, rather than having to run all the way out here and grab it there. I'd say the benefit of the M2 is that if you do have a larger crew, and it's also, I guess, assuming that the armor suit station sort of thing would come online, you've got just more here and more space for multiple people to be able to gear up and get ready over the C2. But as far as the gameplay, the new gameplay that comes in with 3.23 or 3.23.x, I would probably say the C2 probably will get the most bang for your buck, since you don't need to use a weapon rack to get a weapon. You can always just have them in these personal storage bins as well. So if you needed more storage, then just reconfigure those weapon racks. I wondered if he was going to mention that. Then you can just kind of grab them from here without too much more hassle. But if it's important for you to have like a larger armory that can hold the larger weapons, and you're going to have more crew on hand anyway, that'll kind of be back here, maybe doing this was sort of engineering gameplay, then maybe the M2 will be for you. In review, these two ships are probably far too similar in design than they ought to be, with the only noticeable differences being their cargo capacities.
I mean, when persistence is an actual thing here and we don't get bugged out all the goddamn time, right? I think what's going to happen is it'll be there for as long as you A, dock, or B, blow up. You know, I think that's what is intended in terms of the actual game design when Cloud Imperium's thinking about, you know, storage in your ships. You know, it doesn't really necessarily work like that. It's patchy at best, you know. Let me get out of the way so you guys can see the stats here.
And ease of use in relation to their physical weapon racks. If you fly with a limited crew and you're mostly interested in carrying the most amount of cargo in a single ship, there's no need to get the M2. Just take advantage of the C2's extra 170-ish cargo space and having the gun racks closer to the bridge. And at the time of recording, with the new in-game price rebalancing, the M2 is now almost 10 million Alpha UEC more than the C2. But if you're looking for a ship to ferry larger groups around for combat reasons and are more likely to carry vehicles than cargo, then the M2 might make for a better choice, since it does have more weapon hard points and would keep your crew from bottlenecking the bridge corridor. So those are my picks for the best ships in the game for the upcoming inventory and cargo changes. Let me know in the comments below which out of those ships you'd pick. Or
all right, I like it. I like it. He went from start to finish. He went from small to large, from least expensive to most expensive, and I like the way he split up. Let's go. Easy. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you. 11 months like a boss. Thank you for that, man. Go there. Go subscribe to Dead Leader, friend of the channel. Awesome, dude. Great content. We are an aggregator for other Star Citizen content creators. Not merely just a reactor, an enhancer, right, everyone? An enhancer. Look at my fingers. I'm enhancing. I'm enhancing. So go give them some love. Tell them you saw them on DG360 and go over there and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, like this, share this. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.